put an abrupt pause on you guys. So for that, I apologize. Are we good on the Ward 3 Commissioner prospects for now? Okay. All right, next is discussing the YPD budget. So I appreciate Councilmember Tucson, you sending that to us last time. Speaking just for myself, I probably need to actually go look. Like when I was thinking budget, I was thinking like more of like the full breakdown as opposed to I think what we have, which is it looks like Chief Moore's like a presentation of kind of maybe outside the budget items that required additional approval or explanation or something like that. I think for this, it's the taser replacement over the next few years, the purchase of 2 more marked patrol units and the trade-in of 1 vehicle, some training and development expenses around the cost to train each new cadet and the initial cost to outfit those new officers. And then it looks like some additional leadership development that doesn't have dollars next to it, but was part of the presentation. So personally, I would like to look at the actual budget, which I'm sure I can pull down off the city website myself. I just wasn't thinking. That said, I don't know. I know we've got the chief online also. So if you guys have questions around the budget presentation from May 28th, that Councilmember Tucson sent last time, have at it.
I would like to hear it. Because I know I saw it through the meeting or when I watched the council meeting when it was presented, but I don't think I know it's worthwhile hearing it. Maybe not the full thing, but just hearing presentation so we know instead of reading it.
Do you mean like watching the recording of when this was presented, or do you mean having the chief or
have the chief
Councilmember Tucson present it again?
Just to a smaller, not like the entire thing, but just so the highlights or.
Okay. Is that something that you would like on the agenda for next time so that we can like see him in person, or is that something you'd like him to do remotely today?
Either one is perfect with me, but I just,
Let's put on the agenda.
I would say put it on the agenda.
Okay.
That way people in the community know.
Into it. Yeah, I like it. Okay. Chief, I don't know if you can hear us, but is that okay with you that next month we'll would love to hear about maybe a truncated version of your budget presentation to city council a couple months ago?
Can you hear me?
More, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
What you're saying, but I can't hear you.
Hello? Hello?
This is actually kind of cool. We can see that you are talking. We just cannot hear that you are talking. But hello to you too.
I can sign.
Hello?
It says he's talking again.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Here.
We
Hello?
cannot hear you. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I can see it up there.
Right.
Just
Stand by, Chief.
Exactly the wrong angle.
Yeah, exactly. How you doing?
I mean, my take is just. Sorry, technical difficulties. We can pick up with the items for and with the chief
Alright,
next
yes,
week,
and
but.
I'm gonna, yeah, I don't know. I
Okay.
really,
Hey, chief, apologies, but we don't know how to get you audible. Oh, okay. Oh,
Can you hear me? Can you allow me to be able to type? Hello?
so we can see your captions, chief. So we see that you were saying hello and can you hear me and will you allow me to type and stuff. You don't even have to type. We can see what you're saying, but we just can't hear it. This is comical.
Okay.
Oh, the speaker setting on the computer.
Stand by, chief.
By the microphone, it's a little carrot. Right. And then for the speaker, it says same assistant. Preston. Gotcha. All right, so we should be good.
Chief Moore, try speaking now, please.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Chief Moore, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
There we go.
Yay!
There we go.
Am I visible on screen or any of that?
No, but we can hear you.
Okay, because there's a portion that I wanted to share my screen, but I don't know if that's going to work. It's not giving me the option on my end.
Yeah, it seems like anytime I've shared, I've just like as a just community met like as an exterior participant, I've never been able to be on video or do anything.
Yeah, it's not giving me an option to share a screen at all.
I promote him to panelist.
Okay. Let's see. I have a
Oh,
few
there we
more
go.
options. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Yes.
Okay. So have you guys started already? And then we'll just go from there.
We have, yeah, we are actually we are ready for you.
Okay, which portion?
So I'm
The-
sorry.
Budget.
Yeah, so I don't know if you heard this part, but I think that what we'd like ideally is that next meeting, we'd like to hear a sort of abbreviated version of the budget presentation that you gave to city council in June. Or I'm sorry, in May. If that's okay with you, I think it would be better in person. This way the public can sort of see it a little better if people want to come out for it, et cetera. So I think instead of discussing the budget today, we'd like to do that.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for the chief regarding this? Okay. Chief, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I'll just go right into the items on the this month's memorandum and reports. No use of force incidents in August. We did have 2 citizens complaints. If you guys noted in your in a memorandum, you'll see the numbers to the actual citizen complaints. So that makes it a a lot more transparent and easier for you to track on your end. I've also put on here when I close the case, I'll add the case and it's in a, the just a disposition of the case. So you'll see we have 2 new complaints, one for alleged conduct unbecoming and neglect of duty. That's 006. And then of course we have another one for rude and discourteous and failure to identify, and that's 007. From case 2024-004, an excessive use of force allegation. That investigation has been complete and it was unfounded. And there was some other nuances. The individual had hired representation. So, the reason we didn't report back on this until all of that stuff was concluded, but there was no wrongdoing on a part by the officer or the PD, no policy violations, no excessive force, none of those things. I'll move on to the to training for this past month. We still have the 4 officers in field training and evaluation. We expect them to be solo patrol officers in October of this year. So that's we're very hopeful for that. We have been doing some professional development. Captain Anderson just completed Eastern Michigan University's police staff and command school. That consisted of 9 weeks of instruction. And you'll see on here, it's a variety of topics. It's a intensive program. There's a lot of coursework, a lot of research, utilizing, content from the organization of the department, problem analysis, management solutions, project management, grant funding, managing fiscal budgets, and managing personnel matters. So those were just some of the topics covered in the command school that's put on by EMU. And so that's a recognized legitimate school here in the state of Michigan. The other, I attended just the past week, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executive Nobles annual training conference. There was a 5-day conference. We covered an extensive array of professional policing topics, presented by some of the top policing professionals across the country. Even, our own Sheriff Clayton did a presentation at Noble. So lots of information, lots of representation. So it was a really beneficial annual training this year. So took a lot from that. Our 2 newly promoted sergeants are scheduled to attend first line supervision, and that's will be coming up in September. So, as you can see, we're doing a significant increase in the development and making investments into our people so that we can see the results and how they perform in the field. I'll move on to recruiting and our manning. We continue to outsource backgrounds, and we're going to continue to do that. MCOs has new mandates for background checks and background investigations on police officers, and is very, very extensive. And so we outsource that, and we have been getting great results. And so I can't be more pleased with that process. We do have, it's a lot. I made a typo, but we got 27 officer candidates in the portal right now. That includes both new officers and lateral officers. I should note the funding that was allowing the state to pay for the academies, that we have just got notification that that money is completed. They've applied for additional fundings, but right now there's no more funding for the state to pick up that tab. So, that'll impact us, significantly. Of course, you all know Sergeant Gibbs was promoted on August 8th. So we're very excited about that. The remaining sergeant candidate is currently in backgrounds. I should get a full background report on that candidate by next week, I was told. And then I'll be able to review and see if if everything is satisfactory and he meets the standards here. And hopefully we'll be able to move forward with that. We are scheduling a second round of sergeant interviews. We have another candidate. And like I said, that posting is going to remain open until we fill all those spots. And then now I can move on to the statistics.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Back to the funding, you said that the state has given all the money they're going to give, and so how that's going to impact us?
So we had the state allocated a bank of money for us to help us pay for putting
Training.
officers through the academy, and it comes out to about $25,000 per student, and so we have been fortunate enough to put a lot of people through with that grant funding, which has helped us tremendously. But we were just notified that all of the funds have been used up. We share the funds. It's not just Ypsi, it's every professional policing organization across the state has the opportunity to apply for the funding when they put a person in the academy. So we of course we've asked for that funding to be re-upped, but we don't know what the status is yet.
Okay, will you? I'm asking for you to include that in a breakdown in our meeting when you do next month.
You want to know what the
like specifically, like, okay, so the state gives us this, we put in this,
right.
The other agencies put in that, whatever it is.
I don't know what the other agencies do, but the standard, what they give us is all the same. If you're candidate, yeah, that part is standard. And then all of the other things that we pay for are obligatory based on our contract. So when a new officer comes on, it's spelled out what we have to provide for them.
Okay, I would like to have that. Thank you.
Move on to statistics. I'm going to start in the summary of offenses, and again I just highlight the notable changes, so we don't go over each and every category, but just the significant changes. And of course, this is measuring our crime from month to year. So compared to August of last year to August of this year, this is what we have. So the first one I'll point out is our non-aggravated assaults. We continue on the downward trend. We're down 48.3%. I think that's a significant statistical comparison from 31 last year to 16 this year. And it has been a hot summer, and we've still managed to keep those down. So that's, I think, a significant statistic. The burglary, I don't think is statistically relevant. It's only off by 2. So technically that's down 25%, but it's only 2 less than what we had the same time last year. Another one that I think is very statistically relevant is our larcenies, theft from motor vehicles. We are down 85.7%. So there could be a number of factors, for that, as we get more officers, more officer presence, also with some of the communication on social media, about locking your vehicles. So that diminishes the opportunity to just take things from from vehicles. So, but that's a significant drop. 85% is pretty significant. The next one, just simple larcenies, that's down 41%. I think that's statistical enough to note a significant difference. We move on to our juvenile offenses. Now here, some of this is a little bit in the opposite. Our juvenile offenses and complaints are up 100%, so they're doubled, and that's not unexpected. We are having more incidents of juvenile-related issues. throughout the city. So, the partnership that we're trying to establish or reestablish with the school district, I think is going to be significant. We have some plans and some long-term plans, but that's an area that we're really watching closely. If we move on to traffic crashes, we're down 41% month to year. So I think that is, significant, but it may show a slight increase when we get to the other numbers. Now going to the monthly summary of offenses, and of course, it's broken into two parts. The first year to date through August, we look at non-aggravated assault. So this gives us a bigger picture. We're only down 28%, but still down. So that's significant. On aggravated felonious assault, we're down 32%. That's another significant variant, showing that we are still trending in the right way, reducing those occurrences. Our burglaries, though, without force, and this is over the course of the year, we're up 66%. So although we were down month to year for August, for the entire span, we're up 66%, which is four incidents, right? But when we're talking about 10 or less events, those numbers, produce a slightly bigger variance, but it's only 4 less. When we look at theft from motor vehicles, the trend stays consistent. We're down 34%. So from 102 to 67, 34%, I think that is a statistical, very relevant. We go over to the violation of controlled substance. That is a very hot topic right now. We're down 80% from 15 to 3. Now, there are a number of factors for that. That doesn't mean that our community aren't having drug offenses, is we are trying to divert, people to help and resources, and not necessarily, with criminality. We are trying to be the best partner we can in where we can in dealing with some of the drug offenses that we're, encountering. So I think that is that helps with that number and why that number is down.
Chief.
Yes, sir.
So, Herman Humans again. So what exactly does that look like? Meaning what approaches, what training, what guidance is happening that that says that our police department, talking about Ypsi again, is doing something that's effective, or is doing something that should be should produce better results.
So this number, I think it's a good number for what we're trying to do. So what's occurring over at the department, we've been bringing in our community partners, all of our resource partners, CMH, and all of the people associated with it. On the front end, when officers come into the organization, we're training them what the resources are. We have a partnership with, with the prosecutor's office, and the goal is where we can try to direct people to help. Right, when we find someone that's willing, we try to direct them to help. So the first move is, how do we help you? Do you want help? Can we get you to different and better resource to help your, to help your situation? And so by kind of having that approach, we've, for a lot of the low level possessions, that's why that number isn't as high, because they're not being pursued in the same manner.
Okay, so
as they were in the past.
I'm just trying to get a picture. I'm a visual person, so
yes, sir.
Officer arrives on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
What what makes that officer move in that direction? What is it that that says to that officer, this is step one?
So of course, it depends on history and the totality of the circumstance, right? You can come into a scenario where there are other charges involved. So, i.e., let's say a person, could have been an assault or, involved in just another crime, and then as a result of the crime, they also were in possession of, XYZ, drug for, personal use. So that, that personal use may not get charged. And we're trying to divert people to, is this a person that, would benefit from some type of assistance in the system, right? Is there an avenue to get them help? So when officers, arrive on scene, we have to deal, what we call a hierarchy of offenses. So we deal with the most serious things in an appropriate manner, and we try to take, those simple or constructive possessions in a different direction.
Okay, so I guess I'm not getting a full understanding there. So you arrive on the scene,
Mhm.
and the most serious offense or the most serious situation could be a mental health crisis.
Exactly. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So the officer goes, "Oh, this is a mental health situation, and so I need to move in this direction. I need to go down Avenue A, or this is a unlawful situation, and so I got to move into, go down Road B, and pursue it from that perspective." I'm just trying to figure out how
Mhm.
does who is determining how does that what determines the officer's approach or or movement.
So what determines it is the philosophy and the organization of what we're trying to do in terms of help first. So
Chief, I hear you about philosophy, but Chief, when you working with human beings, I get that I have a philosophy, but I also have my specific duty that I must, move on. And I've been trained in this direction. I don't understand or see where that has there's been a what's the word? There's been some sort of a systemic movement, approach, direction. And for me, I'm looking for something concrete that says, this is what we do.
So
And
there are no absolutes, Mr. Hume. So that's not going to be the same thing for every situation. So
I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but if I arrive on a scene, there is something going on. What is it? What is the reason why I've been called to that scene? That's number one. Number two, then when I get there, what is it that I'm using to evaluate to make my determination about what I'm going to do or not do?
So, and maybe we're not understanding each other. So if we go on the scene, no matter what it is, and we're making an arrest for whatever offense, and then that individual is found to have possession of controlled substance or illicit narcotics on them, we're still going to book those things and do all just like normal. All of that stuff is going to be there. But what comes into place is to try and refer, is this a person that can be helped? That doesn't mean you're not going to get charged with your original offenses. It just means that we book those things, we take those narcotics, but that portion may not get prosecuted.
I've got to think about this.
Chief, is it the case, and I apologize, I stepped out for a second. Is it the case that if the police are interacting with someone where the only offense is like some personal use possession of a controlled substance, that individual would get arrested, but is, it's unlikely to be prosecuted given the guidance from the prosecutor, but YPD would still arrest them.
It
I
really
understand
did.
if it's like in the
Yeah.
context of, hey, we got called for something else and this is an additional charge or something like that, like they're getting arrested regardless. But I'm curious about the situation where the only chargeable thing is this possession of, personal use amount of
So
a.
what happens, and depending on the circumstances, but I'll give you an example. We make contact, we make lawful contact with a person, and they're in possession. So we go through the process, and then we submit to the prosecutor's office for them to issue, if they're going to issue a warrant, if they're going to, prosecute on that case. So in those instances, it depends on the prosecutor's office, but a lot of those cases, right, for those possessions, that hasn't been the highest priority for the prosecutor's office.
So it goes through the prosecutor's office this is Gail Walkoff, to determine whether it's going to be prosecuted. So the Ypsilanti police will, for a personal use amount, and that's the only situation, we'll take it, we'll do the arrest, and then send it to the prosecutor's office. And then the prosecutor's office will then determine what happens next.
Exactly.
And in the meantime, is that person incarcerated on Washtenaw Avenue at the jail?
So they do, depends, but most of the time, yes, they get incarcerated and released. And then it depends on what happens, if they pick up the case and they want to, prosecute on the case.
Right, but but they aren't released until the prosecutor's office does something. So they have to have an arraignment or go in front of the judge.
They can make bail on the charge, just like everybody else. Everybody gets the opportunity. They get 48 hours to do their, to complete everything that they have to complete on their end.
Okay, so potentially this person is in jail for 48 hours, not going to work, not if they're in treatment, not getting treatment, not taking care of their children or their family. So that that person is then removed from the moment for 48 hours until the prosecutor decides, or until they make bail.
Right, that potential absolutely exists. Yes.
I understand now. Thank you. Thank you for walking me through that.
I guess, and I may be misremembering, but I feel like we saw some letter from the prosecutor saying something to the effect of, hey, I'm not prosecuting these like simple possession charges
Without a weapon.
Yeah, like I'm just talking about like if there's a simple possession charge and that's the only thing,
Okay.
I'm not prosecuting them. So I guess I wonder, and I'm not the chief of police of anywhere, but I guess in my head it's like, all right, if these are absolutely not getting prosecuted, if it's the sole crime, then what is the value of the police spending their time and jail resources, et cetera, even kind of arresting these folks if we know that the prosecutor's not going to do anything? Again, just in the case of this is the reason and only reason that the person's being arrested. And I have no sense of how frequently it's the case that that's the only thing. But yeah, in my head, I'm wondering what the utility is to the police department, the community, et cetera. If we know it's not going to get prosecuted, of spending all the time arresting them.
And money.
So I can't speak for the prosecutor's office. I'd have to go back and do some research on what they may or may not have put out. But all of these cases, they're all individual. It just depends on all of the circumstances at the time of the contact. Typically, these things happen in conjunction with other offenses. That's where the possession is found. So that has been the majority of what we've come across. So there's another offense that occurs, and then search incident to arrest, we discover, their personal possession.
Okay. Understood. Any,
Yes, I have a question about the youth section. And what I have been observing from my small microcosm is that there seems to be an increase in gang activity, and I am being told from various other sources that people are moving in from Detroit, because I'm seeing a lot of youth representing hand signs, colors, vocabulary. Are you observing that from when you talked about the youth increase in the city when you make the stops and arrests in the representing the colors and stuff?
There is an increased representation of gang activity in and around Ypsilanti and Washtenaw County. There is.
Okay. Do you know? Okay. Because this would be this. Yeah. I have not. I'm not going to finish any of those. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I'll see if the screen will cooperate. I wanted to show you what the survey is going to look like, and then I'll
Great.
explain. So let's see. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
yes.
Is it saying the YPD
If you
citizen
could,
survey?
you wouldn't mind, yeah, it does. Would you, if possible, could you zoom in a little bit so that like the pages that we're looking at fill up a little bit more of the width? Awesome. Thank you. Have at it. Get in there. Absolutely.
Okay. So this is the representation of what the survey is going to look like when each officer will have the barcode, on the department issued phone, and when we make contact, we'll give the option for an individual with a phone to use their camera, and it'll take them to the link and for the survey. And so here's what the survey is going to look like. Of course, our insignia. The first question, just all of the things that we talked about. Considering your most recent interaction with the Ypsilanti Police Department, did the officers resolve your issue? And then we have the options of strongly agree, uncertain, disagree, strongly agree, or non-applicable. The same thing for the next question. Considering your most recent interaction with Ypsilanti Police Department, do you feel the officers were courteous and professional? And the same options. Move on to the third question. As a result of your most recent interaction with the Ypsilanti Police Department, do you feel safe in your community? And we have the same options. Then as a result of your most recent interaction with the Ypsilanti Police Department, were you arrested? Same piece. If you were arrested, did the officers use appropriate force against you during any point of the interaction? And they get to answer that question. Then the last question, considering your most recent interaction with the Ypsilanti Police Department, did the officers allow the opportunity to explain your actions and or involvement? Once they complete the survey, submit, it goes directly to the bank. There's going to be a $30 a month fee while we utilize the service. That gives us up to right now 500 submissions per month. So that's where we are with this piece. I still have to write the department policy to govern how this is utilized. So I'll have that ready for our next meeting, or maybe before, and just send it out to the committee so you guys can look it over. But we'll have a policy governing and directing officers to make sure that they provide everybody that we contact the opportunity to take the survey. So, of course, the first month or two, we're going to, we'll be judging to see, okay, are we using? Do we need more? The only issue with the next, it jumps from $30 to, I believe, $200 a month. So it's a pretty significant jump. There are some other things that it gives you, but some on the terms, I believe, in analytics, but that's the gist of what this survey is going to look like when we interact with, with members of the community in any capacity. We'll give them the options. You will, the committee will have the ability to go in and look at all of the surveys, look at the numbers and the trends, and then report out either in this forum or in another forum, whether it be through the website, kind of the results, the report card. So how are we doing? And so this will give me tangible information, and that we can utilize to help drive what we're doing inside the organization. So I feel pretty good about this survey, and I'm hoping that it will really help us to bridge some of the gaps that still exist, with transparency and trust in the community between us, with the community and the police department. So we feel pretty strong about this, and I'm looking forward to this rolling out. You guys have any questions about this?
So speaking for myself, I think this is a super good start. I think that obviously in time, it'd be interesting to have it set up where it's on the back of business cards.
We can do that as well. We would.
I know that like business cards
Yeah.
cost money, right? And so it's like a whole printing thing. But I guess in my head, it's like I would imagine that it would increase response rates to the extent that you don't have to scan it from the officer's like outstretched phone in that moment in order to have the opportunity to fill it out. Now, the flip side of that is that I imagine, because this is the case with many QR code type setups, is if an officer gives me their business card, I can scan it
Right.
50 times and fill
Right.
this survey out 50 times. So, and obviously it could be tooled up to do it like in a unique way, but that's probably way more expensive and sort of difficult. So I don't know, I'm thinking out loud, right? But I think personally, I think this is a really good start. I'd be super interested to see how it goes for a few months, and we can,
Right.
iterate.
Yeah.
I would be
So,
curious. I mean, we're doing this work and we've talked about it for a solid minute, that this information is vital. And if we're not getting accurate information, I mean, I'm not convinced a lot of people are going to be willing to use a QR code from an officer's phone after they've just had an interaction.
I agree with you.
And And so, I mean, versus a card, and there has to be some analytics, this would be more in your ballpark, that sets it so some unique way to only get one reading, or if we had a, I mean, just some way of getting, so we get proper analytics. Otherwise, it doesn't seem like we're going to get the information we want, or not that we want, but we originally set out to do.
I guess
So-
my take on this is that, like, I'm interested in doing something immediately. Cause to your point, it's been a while, or a long time coming. I think that there's some not insurmountable technical hurdles, but like basically it means that each QR code has to be unique.
Mhm.
So you can't just run off a gazillion business cards with the same QR code. So the cost of printing them goes up, and
Each
the
officer has their own QR code?
well, no, each officer, every single QR code has to be different,
Okay.
right? In order to scan it once and have that access not work anymore after it's been scanned once. So I guess, again, my take is it's absolutely worth exploring. I agree completely that that should be the goal. And we'll probably get more information than we get today, even from the phone QR code between now and when we find a solution to get them on the business cards.
So we've had these discussions about all of the possibilities. Of course, there is technology. We have to work through it. Right now, we want to get the ball rolling. We want to get it started. This gives us the opportunity to do that. We'll probably, dispense it in, in two ways. And what's going to happen is we'll have to, on the back end, kind of compare the number of submissions or to, calls for service to kind of see if we match, because we wanted to put some on business cards. So let's say, for instance, the individual that, is arrested, well, we're probably going to have to leave that with that person, right? Because in the heat of all of that, that's not going to be the moment and opportunity to take a survey. But after things have settled, then they'll have the opportunity to do it. So we want that information as well, and so they will likely get a card. None of this is perfect. We just have to work through and evolve through what we have. But right now, we don't have anything, and this is going to be a great start and begin to give us some of the information that we're trying to seek.
So can we put this on the agenda for next time for more continued discussion? But we want to get this thing rolling. We want to get.
Yeah, so we're going to do the same thing that we did this past month, where I'm going to send Lori like preliminary agenda, and then she's going to send it out to everyone and give you guys the opportunity to add any
Okay.
items that you want to the agenda. Just note that I didn't know this, you guys may have, but we have the Friday before the meeting week is the deadline for the agenda. So we're all going to have our thinking caps on, mostly speaking for myself, because I did not, and we're going to get it done in advance.
Thank you.
In the thing and say we're adding it to the agenda.
Sure. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for the chief about this?
No, thank you.
Thanks, chief. And then I think the last thing, and Commissioner Wolkoff, I believe you put this on, was the walkthrough of the citizen police complaint process.
Right. That has been carried over from a couple weeks or a couple months. Is that you were going to, I see that you've made the changes and there's numbers. Can you go over if I have an interaction that I'm not happy with, the police officer leaves my door or whatever it is, what do I do and how do I know? So what's the walkthrough that I as a citizen have to do?
So you can do it in any number of ways. You can go to the city's website. There's a complaint form on there. That form comes to myself, the city manager, and the city attorney, and then I assign it a citizen complaint number, and we investigate the complaint. You can call in to the station. We'll take a complaint. You can do a complaint in person. You can even do a complaint via email. So we've, like we've discussed this in, previously in the past, they made it mandatory for citizens to have to come down and fill out an affidavit and do all of those things. And we've eliminated, all of that process. And we will take a complaint however it comes, put it into our system, assign it a number, and investigate the complaint.
Correct. I just lost internet connection because I was going to look at the complaint form because I know what the old one was like. And so I will have to look that up. So would this be something that it would be useful to put in the monthly city news, that there's a new complaint form and this is how you find the information so citizens know how to?
So yeah, the citizen complaint form that's on the city site, that's not new. But yeah, we can absolutely, put that information out there, that we're taking complaint, in almost any format. I was committed to that. I think it's important.
Right.
But any format that someone wants to submit a complaint, we'll take it.
So they don't have to complete the form. I was under the understanding that whole form was going to be changed because.
So they don't have to complete that form.
Okay, so the form doesn't have to be, okay, that's good to know.
Right. The form that's online, that complaint form, the only thing that you have to put in there is the body of your complaint, your name, of course, in an email, and contact number so that we can follow up with you. All of the body, what your complaint is, what interaction did you have, of course, your name, who you are and how to contact you.
Okay, do you want date?
Generally that's in the body when they're saying, hey, I had this interaction on this date and time.
And name of officer.
Or, if they know it, sometimes people don't know the name of the officer. So we've gotten them in several ways. They didn't know the name of the officer, but they had the date and approximate time they had the interaction. And then we're able to look it up and figure it out.
Right. And am I correct in my understanding that with each interaction that officers are giving cards out these days with the number of?
That's not accurate. It depends on what it is. Every interaction does not warrant, an incident number or a report number. So there's an incident number because every call for service that officers are sent on generates an incident number. If there's a report to be taken, then that's an additional number internal to the organizations for us tracking. The incident number is done through Clemis and CAD, and so that's done automatically. So it depends. So every interaction does not automatically, you get a card. That doesn't happen on every interaction.
Any other? Okay. Appreciate that, Chief. So just backing up a tiny amount. All right. So yesterday's mental health forum canceled. Did I miss something? Oh, okay. Yesterday's mental health forum was, you really got me there. Was canceled. Commissioner Layton and I spoke last week, beginning of this week. recently, this week, it's been a long week. Spoke on the phone to,
Hey, Chief, it sounds like you may have like some background noise. Just letting you know. All right.
and so as I see it, and I'm just me, I think that we've got some lofty goals. I was not involved in the initial meeting about this, so like I don't have all the context, but I think there's some lofty goals and like worthwhile aims. Feels like so far we have not, our two commissions, HRC and YPAC, have not really been able to get all the like pieces together in time to make these, certainly make yesterday's forum happen. And I worry about our ability to do so with the other two that are currently scheduled. So I know that in my view, it felt like we were constrained by the Open Meetings Act in terms of our ability to like work on this outside of our respective commissions meetings. But Lori noted via email in the last week or so that we can set up like subcommittees to work on this, provided that those subcommittee members report back to their respective commissions during those commission meetings. So I think in my head, what our objective should be coming out of this meeting is primarily the identification of one or more people from this commission who are interested in serving on a subcommittee, ideally with folks from HRC. I believe they're going to be talking about the same thing, so that we can drive forward on this in between our commission meetings, so that we can, you know, hopefully in short order, figure out, number one, if the other two scheduled meetings, if we have enough time to make them happen, or if we need to push out the whole agenda. And in a lot of ways, much more importantly, really drill in on what we hope to accomplish and how, so that we're able to Commissioner Layton's point during public comment, make sure that we're not just like, hey, community, give us your time and come and talk to us, hear from us, and then like nobody does anything. I think that the objective should be like, what are the outcomes that we can deliver to and for the community as a result of these? And so how do we make it as impactful as possible? So that's my take, that the objective tonight should be, if people on this commission are interested, volunteering for a subcommittee, so that we can work on this with the understanding that you guys will, you know, you person or people will report back to YPAC on a monthly basis about what's happened, so that we can, you know, make motions, et cetera, to try to move this along with city council from a budget standpoint, et cetera. But I don't see another way to do this personally. So, and I think it's also a good gauge of this, like if people are willing to serve on subcommittees, which again, I think is the only way to make this happen, that tells us that there's interest in YPAC of continuing down this path. And if people are not willing to, then there's not enough interest for YPAC to continue to participate in this, in my view. That is what I have to say. Interested in what you guys have to say.
One thing that I see is, you said our next monthly meeting, because we had the next one, the next mental health forum was scheduled for September 21st. And then another one on October 28th. Well, we wouldn't meet as a commission again until September 25th.
Mhm.
Oh,
So even if we had members of the subcommittee working together to pull all of this together, we wouldn't have an opportunity, unless we called a special meeting, we wouldn't have an opportunity to disseminate all of the information that has, you know, that the subcommittee has worked so hard on.
that's a very good point. So I mean, look, again, this is just my thought. Like, I think that we probably need a little more time to really figure this out. Like, I mean, in my opinion, we hit kind of a brick wall in just the cost of a facilitator. So I think there's some work to do here.
May
and-
I,
Yeah,
may I give an update?
I would
on the
love it.
Well, you all had the Google Docs. I sent the Google Docs of
probably.
the budget that we have, I spent a lot of time a little while ago talking to Leah. She cannot do Saturdays, but she's willing to do other times. She charges $3.75 an hour, but with that said,
Anyway,
but with that said, she is willing to do all 3 sessions, which would be 3 sessions at 2 hours a session for a total of $1,500. So in the budget that we had listed out before, the location, we were going to do it at the Freight House, was no money. The food was going to be donated. The sound system is donated. The marketing material and the supplies could potentially, so the facilitator would be the cost. And if we had a budget, then we could have it go to city council for the proposal to have it covered. Because what I've heard both from our liaison and from other council people is there is more money. We just have to ask for it and present a budget for it to go through. So the question, I mean, so I just wanted to give the budget end of it. That's what I have learned about
Okay.
and she's willing to work with us. She would do the facilitation, very much of what we've talked about, of like starting at leading at the breakout groups, the plans, and she would move us through how we go from where we are and wanting to get this going with ideas to workable items.
Does her time include, like, I'm thinking that as we think about like what the objective is, like being able to talk to her before these about like what we even like, hey Leah, what does good output look like from something like this? Right?
So
She's the
pre-planning.
expert. Yeah. And so I don't know if that's like, oh yeah, that's part of my $1,500.
I will
or if
ask her. Do
it's-
you want
yeah.
me to ask her?
I would love if you would ask her. That said, I mean, I am happy to, like, if what you guys would like to do is move to request this budgeted amount for the 3 sessions. I think I just worry that it's like razor thin, right? It's if assuming we can get all the food and drink donated for all 3, assuming it sounds like the venue feels pretty solid.
Right, in the facility,
We would
I
need
I
another
just
date
wanted
for the
to,
third
that,
one.
that was the
Mhm.
budget, that was the big part where I could give tangible
Yeah,
information about the budget
Yep.
that I don't know if or if you've seen the Google Doc or if the Google Doc did go through of the budget, but
I'm looking at it now. Yeah, if
Oh.
that's what you're talking about.
but that's sort of the breakdown of what I've learned. The only day that she cannot do is Saturday,
Like any Saturday.
any Saturday.
Okay,
That's her Sabbath.
respect.
oh. Need all new dates?
Well, we gotta,
I don't know the other one.
I really,
10/28 was Monday.
okay. Look, I'm just me, huh?
Isn't the 28th of October or Saturday?
28th of October
No,
is a,
21st of September was Saturday.
yes,
Mhm.
that's a Saturday, and then the 28th of October is a Monday.
It's a Monday.
All right, so 28th of October is the first one that is feasible.
And
20th of October is a Monday.
Mhm.
I think the 28th of October is a
And-
Monday.
It is a Monday.
Um,
And is it true, or have I misunderstood that the city council has to approve all that we suggest for that, not only the budget,
Yes.
but also the facilitator and what.
Yes.
What the agenda is.
The whole forum.
The whole forum, right?
That's new, yes.
So,
We just heard from Lori
Right.
that is new, that just
so-
came down. It's different than what we were originally told.
Right. So the committee can meet.
Well, I know that, oh, you
Yeah,
don't
no,
know
no,
this,
you're
but I'm
good.
just saying that before this whole thing started, yeah,
So HR and YP, that's us can meet and get things all squared away. But we still have to have a city council meeting that approves of all of that.
so I think the objective is who wants to be on a subcommittee? That's what we come out of today. And then that's the subcommittee has a month to try to get this organized so that at the next YPAC meeting, we're in a position to make a complete motion to city council that includes 3 dates, who the facilitator is, and the budget.
and budget. And a
I think-
location and all the stuff we need.
Yep.
So okay. So a month from today, at our
Mhm.
next meeting, which is the 26th, right?
Yep.
Have all this figured out to then put forth a motion to have this brought to city council for approval on the October 1st meeting,
Yep.
to then have everything set up for what meeting in October? The
28th. It's a Monday.
28th, that Monday. Okay.
It sounds like a good time. It sounds feasible.
It sounds like it could work. A
Well-
month from today to the 26th of October, have everything ironed out so that the motion can be made on the 26th meeting of YPAC.
And they say yes, or they say no.
Right, then the
Gotta
meeting,
cancel or-
right, the council meeting is like, what is that? 4 days after, on that Tuesday the 1st, for the meeting on the 20th. Okay, that sounds like it could work.
So may I ask a question of clarification?
I would love that.
So if we have a meeting and we have a joint meeting, or we're going to, not if, but we're going to have a joint meeting, so then why, we have it on YPAC's date of meeting, which would be September 26th.
Okay.
We all at YPAC, it's going to go over, it's going to be unanimous. I have faith. But if I remember correctly, HRC meets the week before us. So that means that the two subcommittees need to
all information done.
meet pre-HRC. So when the two subcommittee members go to the HRC meeting, they're going to say, yes, we vote on this unanimous, let's go through with it, and then YPAC. So my question is, before it goes to city council, both commissions have to vote on it, or it needs to be motioned and voted upon and agreed upon, correct?
That makes more than one of us. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think what Gail is talking about is that each commission at their own meetings have an opportunity to review all the information and make the resolution to move forward. And according to the dates, it would work because if their meeting is a week before
I'm guessing, I
ours,
don't know, when does HRC meet?
I believe
that right?
it's on a Wednesday, so it'd be the 18th. And then we would meet on the 26th. So if the subcommittee took the information to them the week prior and gave it to us the following week.
So we have 3 weeks for however many subcommittees we need to
Right.
get something completed by the 19th.
So look, the objective
Take
is
HRC.
whatever HRC's deadline for inclusion in their agenda
in
is
their resolution.
the
Oh,
deadline.
no, I lied.
Is the
So
deadline.
that's the 13th.
Yeah, so the Friday
The 13th.
or close of business, the 13th, yeah.
Friday, the 13th, we have to have
Yep.
everything decided upon. So
Which is like
Pat,
3
when she
weeks.
makes,
That's
or when
3
the
weeks.
chair of HRC makes the agenda,
Not saying it's Thursday because theirs is Wednesday, which makes sense.
well,
So it'd be
whatever
by
their
the
date is,
12th.
The deadline.
the deadline for Lori for getting the agenda done, completed,
It would be the 12th.
it would have to be the 12th.
Mhm.
That's not Friday, the 13th. That's
All right, so I think now it's just about which of you brave souls is interested in participating in this from our side.
Wow.
Herman volunteered.
Good.
I'm
Okay.
interested if we can do it in a time that's not at night, because my nights
Corn said he's
are,
interested.
I can't pick you, I don't think. Do I have to move for that? Does someone have to move?
For Herman and
Mhm.
Gail.
You want to,
No, for me and
okay.
Gail. Yeah, just move for me, Gail and I.
I make a motion that we select Herman and Gail to be members of the subcommittee to work in conjunction with Human Relations Commission.
A second. All in favor? Do they vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
so housekeeping,
No.
you're going to give the information to the chair of HRC? to move it
Yeah,
forward?
sure. I am. We are meeting in the middle of next week to discuss during the day.
Even though I didn't see the budget information that Councilwoman King gave, I think she gave some packets on how to do the budget, how to get the money. I was looking through all of our old minutes and saw resolutions where others in the past have requested money, and I will forward those to you for how they were asked.
Awesome.
That would be awesome, because I was just,
Yeah, and so we would know exactly what they, how they're asking for this information, because I believe you asked for before, it wasn't precise enough or something.
Right.
we didn't have, we just asked for money.
So
Yeah.
I will forward it through again, this is just historical records that I'm giving you guys as I see them, of how.
And I will tighten up the budget that we have after I get Lori's, so you can do something. We have to do F.
Okay. Review the community benefits ordinance. Ooh, no.
You put it on there.
Somebody must have asked.
And that was something that, all commissions were asked to, I don't know if you need to say anything, I don't know. I just, it was just.
So that my next question is, I don't know, am I speaking out of turn, Chair?
No.
My next,
I barely work here.
I believe it's gonna be coming from city council in September.
so my question for you two are, do we have any guidelines on what we're looking for? Like the history of what it's being done? Is it being re-upped? Is that's as far as I can get is the is. So when I read this, you know, I was there, I read what was in the concentrate, what they wrote about it to get some of a historical point of it, and then I read this PowerPoint. And are we reading for anything in particular? Has there been conversations about this?
Is supposedly doing something with it, and then it was given out to all, the city manager sent it and asked me to give it to all boards and commissions to look over, and so that they would be prepared if they wanted to have any input on it before the September city council meeting. All I know.
So just so that I can try to like summarize here, and we may all be on the same page of not knowing a ton, but I guess a developer wants to build something, they want to get money from the city to incentivize their building of something, and they say that, hey, there's going to be this defined benefit to the community in return for taxpayer support. Is that
Tax abatement.
pretty much, I mean,
Or tax credits.
yeah, some sort of support from the taxpayers of the city of Ypsilanti to incentivize their development. Is there information? Is this just about approving the process, or is there a specific thing that a developer wants to do that we're talking about? Because it looks like we're just talking in generalities here. Yeah.
So what I remember is this is coming out of the situation that happened on Water Street. That community benefit ordinance was created. So if somebody wanted to build and they had two different levels or tiers, that if you're going to go up to 50,000 or up to 200,000 and above 200,000 is what needed to happen. And also, with that said, people from the community could have and meet with the builders to add into concerns. The other part of the community benefit ordinance was that the builders were going to commit to hiring people within our community.
Mhm.
So we didn't have builders and developers bringing in their own groups of people and outsourcing. And that with that, and then the other layer of that would be is any of the places that we train within the city, like Michigan Works or within the city, or anybody that does apprenticeships, that they would be tapped into. So like the electricians would be tapped into to bring in local electricians with their apprentices. So it would be working with how does having this builder come into our community benefit our community, and having people, if I'm understanding, this is where I get really foggy, correct me, Roland, if I'm wrong, is that it goes to city council first, they then vote on it, and then after that, then the community benefit ordinance is triggered. I hate that word. Then the community benefit ordinance is started and people from the community can be involved and they can have input.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and so correct me, Kathleen, also, you're probably there too, is if somebody is getting like over by Peninsular Dam, which is still city product, city land. I don't remember what it's called, but it's often where they took down anyway. So that's still part of the city. They're getting total tax rebates. Is that correct? So if they weren't getting any, like, what word do I want? Tax abatements. Then if there's no abatements involved, does that mean that the city, the CBO is not started or created? Do tax abatements and the CBO hand in hand? What if somebody doesn't need any tax abatement or isn't asking for any money? Does the CBO have to be?
I would be
created?
pretty surprised if it was like, I'm a developer, I've got the money, I own the land, and the city is gonna make me hire different people than my team or do all this other stuff.
Right,
if I'm
right.
not
And this, but
asking
this
for
is
it.
also city land. So if it starts out as city land.
Yeah, okay, got it.
So I guess that's, if I'm remembering.
Then it
correctly.
talks about the sale or lease of the city land. So if we're actually selling it, it becomes the developer's land.
Right.
And if the developer is not receiving tax credits or tax abatements, they can pretty much do what they want.
They can
on
do what
their
they want.
own. But if we're leasing the land or if we're doing tax abatements or tax credits, we did this over at Hamilton Crossing. You have to use contractors that will hire local people, and there has to be a certain amount of minority that included women contractors. And we had to utilize like just general laborers, people out planting trees or grass. And we would get them, we worked hand in hand with Michigan Works.
Michigan Works.
Yes.
Okay. So,
So if somebody is, so I'm going to ask the next question that would go next, and Roland, you might know this, or Kathy, or somebody else might know this, is if somebody's getting city abatement and they're not paying taxes, they're still getting services that taxpayers
They're paying for.
are paying for?
Yes.
That's a yes, that's a yes, that's a yes or no
That's a
question.
yes.
Yes, okay. Okay.
Yeah, which may be why this has come up, because we've been giving so much away. And as residents, we've been,
My property taxes.
yes, we've been pulling the weight.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to get an idea because
Out of control.
I know that we got this a week ago and I keep looking at you, Roland, so you can tell me to look away if you want to, but because I'm like trying to figure out, it's like, it was given to us to discuss, but we don't know what we're discussing or the purpose of discussing it. So it's like my teacher inside of me's going crazy. It's like, what am I
This
supposed
feels
to
like
do
a
with
go
this?
to city council. if
Why
you
am I
have-
discussing this?
And if they're giving citizens an opportunity to weigh in, how much weight is,
Well, what are we weighing in
Every-
about and what, right?
let's say that as a result of the tax abatement, they're gonna donate, $100,000 to the community. How's it gonna be used? What are we doing with it? Are we doing,
Are you making this
Youth
up? or did-
program.
have
I'm
you
making
heard-
this up.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
this is a
I love it.
hypothetical situation.
So. Roland?
Aren't we doing something similar to this, like next door to the Centennial Building?
Well, that was why I had two
Um,
questions. One is the Centennial Building, does that fall under the
Yes, it does.
Is that,
CBO?
right there on
Pearl.
Washington, yeah, Pearl and
Across the
Washington.
street from the transit center?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that would be involved in this.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the second thing is, big picture wise,
Mhm.
can you find out for us and let us know? So can we add this to our agenda because we will have time at the next meeting
Mhm.
to just, if you all are having a discussion in September,
Mhm.
like any kind of guidelines, if we don't get any guidelines, that's fine, but if you can give us some sort of a guideline, like I've said enough words. Okay. Thanks, Herman. Yes, Gail, you've said enough words.
I don't have anything on this topic. Anyone? All right. My esteemed vice chair. It is.
So over the weekend, I had contact with two of our citizens. It started out through text communication where they were letting me know there had been a shootout near the residence, and that actually occurred on the 17th. I got the text at 5:04 in the morning. But that was just, hey, there was a shootout. I have a timestamp of 4:34 in case anybody needs it. That same day, later on that night, I got another communication from them wanting to know, can they illegally, or can they just come and tow cars? So it seems like what happened was, as a result of the shootout the night before, very early in the morning, there were more patrols patrolling Hilliard Robinson Way. And they were probably, I don't know, but they saw cars illegally parked in the handicapped parking spaces there. And they called for Wall Street Towing to come and tow. Of the three cars that were illegally parked, one was allowed to pay a drop fee, and they took their car. One just left, and the third car was blocked in by two patrol cars. They would not move, and they actually hooked up the car and towed the car. The resident did admit they were illegally parked, but they felt they should have had the opportunity to either pay a drop fee or leave like the other two people. During the exchange, things got heated. There were three officers there. There was Officer Cheese. There was a Sergeant Stemnek, and then there was a female officer where I did not get her name. But they were, as the resident was attempting to explain the situation to the police officers more or less said, look, this is Party Central. We're not doing this. And I'm going to make an example out of you. And they're saying, we don't have anything to do with what happens up here. They are residents that tend to stay in the house and to themselves, and even the residents that had come out were like, those people don't bother anybody. Why are you guys doing this to them? So as a result of the exchange back and forth, communication got heated. They were handcuffed and put in, well, the first young lady was handcuffed and put in the back of the patrol car. So her sister, the other young lady, says, why are you arresting my sister? Why? And so they said, well, we're going to take you too. So they handcuffed her and put her in the back of another patrol car. There's video of this exchange in addition to their
Body cam.
thank you, body cam. They detained them both in the car, and they did let them know, we are not arresting you. But again, because of this exchange, now you're inciting a riot and all these other people are coming. They felt, we didn't do that. You guys did this. The police did that. They're still trying to explain that they're not involved with the group of people that are outside loitering. They were in the house having movie night. But they did not get anywhere. The car was towed. It was taken to Wall Street towing. It ended up being $400 just to pick it up. And then each day it increased by $40. However, while they were sitting in the patrol cars and the sergeant came and did talk to him, and he says, look, I'll talk to the owner tomorrow when he gets out of church. So he must know him very well. And says, you know, we'll get your car back. We'll get your car returned. We're not arresting you. There isn't anything going on, you know, more or less apologize, and please don't post this video. They do have video. They actually wanted to sit down with the chief. I know that was one of the complaints that was on there, but they felt that the officers were not respectful of them. They were targeted because I guess they were an easy mark because they weren't out there doing anything, whereas everybody else was out partying. But the outcome is, after they released them from the patrol cars, and the next day, no, Monday, they were able to get the car back. But they were charged $200 for it, because that was what Wall Street Towing says. Well, you know, those are storage fees. I personally think they should have got all their money back. It's just my opinion. I was to the point where, boy, if I had it, I'd give it to you. But there's video going of this. I know they did want to sit down face to face and go over this with the chief. But I did include all of the text messages in here. And by the time I talked to them on Sunday afternoon, it was a lot calmer than the texts that were sent to me Saturday night. So that's where I am. I know they did call and lodge a complaint against the 3 officers involved. And I know it's still under investigation, and that is what I know as of right now.
Do you know if this has affected the housing, their housing? Because I know that the Housing Commission is working to make a change there. So
Yeah, a lot of work to do. There were no charges.
okay, so
That
there's-
was another thing that
So we
she
don't know-
asked me about, because it used to be in the leases that I had, if there was police contact,
Mhm.
then it could affect your housing.
That's why I'm asking.
As of today, there's been nothing from the office sent to or spoken to this resident.
Hey, hold on one second. Is this a motion thing?
You got a motion.
We need a motion to extend our time here. I'm shocked that we have to do that. I try to run a tighter ship. Then
We can go home.
I would love to hear a motion for approximately 30 minutes, and let's beat it. Let's get this done.
15.
I move that we extend the meeting
2:15. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
30 minutes.
Go for it.
I second.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Nay. Does it have to be unanimous?
Nope.
All right, perfect. You guys win.
So let's be out in 15.
Let's do it.
So, Commissioner Walkoff, as of, just before coming to the meeting, there was no mention of it having affected the housing.
Okay, so we don't, because that's was my first fear is that they're now gonna,
Yes, but it won't, I know there is a social worker up there.
okay,
If something came down, we could talk to them.
okay, that wasn't my first, never mind.
But that is,
Didn't go there. That was a
yeah,
thought.
they brought that up and, yeah, I didn't even put that in the report.
Be on the agenda for next time, and the chief of police know in advance, but we can bring it up.
Yes. Okay. I make a motion that this police complaint, once the investigation is complete, that we have communication of what the outcome is.
Second.
On favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for bringing that.
You're welcome. It was a long day.
Oh.
They did not get a report number because it was not an incident. They just had a,
August 17th.
yes, they had a card from Officer Cheese. No numbers on it,
With no,
What a name.
no report number. There was not a report taken. Yes,
But did they file like a formal complaint with PD?
yes.
Okay, so there's a complaint number, just no incident number.
Correct. Like no incident as in like,
If I
as
get
far as the
pulled
police
over,
are concerned, nothing happened. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So that was not one of these one or 006 or 007. Okay.
I would like to bring something up if I may.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Are we done with this?
let's do that during announcements, if
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay,
Is that, I'm just,
yes, that's fine. We have
that's
to do
two
public
more Roman
announcements.
numerals
Okay.
through
Oh,
the
we have to do
agenda.
2 more Roman numerals. I'm trying to get out of here. in 30
No, that's what I'm saying. All right, public comment.
Hello again, commissioners. Kat Layton, resident of Ypsi Ward 3. I believe the chief left the virtual meeting, which is a little disappointing since our public comments weren't really addressed. And there was some alarming issues brought forward during commissioner reports. First thing, can this report out that he does, I believe I've asked for this before, but can he please submit his reports to the commission for it to be in the agenda packet? It's extremely hard to follow along with what he's saying without anything written down as an accessibility issue. I find that a little challenging. Also, per Chief Moore, he mentioned that when there's people with drug paraphernalia or possession, their first question is, how can we help? When they also arrest them, and even though there's a letter of support from the prosecutor saying he will not prosecute anyone charged with possession. If that is the case, if you wonder how you can help, then I think you should approach supporting resolution number 2024-150 regarding the lowest law enforcement priority. That just makes sense to me since those are your words. Also, according to YPAC's bylaws, Article 6, Section 2, the commission chair may establish and appoint citizen committees with the consent of the commission. So you are allowed to have citizens who are not commissioners be on your committees. Also, there is nothing in your bylaws about meeting duration or time limits. So you don't need to stick to a strict 2-hour limit unless that's something you want to internally do. But there's no need to make motions to extend the meetings. Community benefit ordinance that was created in 2018. I was on the Avalon Housing 206 Community Benefits Committee. It was actually expired, but the council extended the ordinance to allow us to follow it. I'm not sure why YPAC is really needing to provide opinion on that ordinance specifically. But it is important to just let y'all know that it's upon a developer's request for public support. The developer should meet with the department to review the request, and it fits into 2 tiers. And then there is a community benefits process where people are appointed onto a committee, and then they meet with the developer to kind of negotiate benefits. And the benefits can also not only come from the developer, they can also come from the city. For example, the city of Ypsilanti, we got them to agree to amend the human relations ordinance to further protect affordable housing. We also got them to agree to readopt the community benefits ordinance, which is why we are seeing it being brought back into September. That was a result of the Avalon Housing 206 committee. If you want any more questions answered about the community benefits ordinance, I know Councilmember Simmons was really active on one of those before being a council member, or myself would be happy to answer questions. Also, your police advisory commission at cityofypsilanti.com email address bounced back. So heads up on that. And I did have one more thing to say, but I think it's important to talk about how the police are creating more issues, kind of going off of what Commissioner McCormick was saying. I also have personally several examples of this, one being outside of the city hall December 5th, where I was physically pushed without provoking by an IPSI officer who still is actively working and taking mental health calls, because I witnessed him at the Tuesday meeting or Tuesday incident after the August 6th election. So anyway, thank you again for letting me extend my 3 minutes.
There was a lot. Any other public comments?
Yep.
Hello again, still Corn, Ypsi Township. By the way, so the chair of the commission can extend public comment if deemed appropriate at any time. That's within what the chair can make happen. So if you want to hear us talk for longer than 3 minutes, you can totally do that.
Maybe at the beginning.
I want to say for the citizen complaint, I think you're absolutely right. They should get their $200 back, and they probably should be compensated by the city for the trauma that they had to go through for being detained by the cops for no reason in front of all their neighbors and loved ones. And this is not an isolated incident, this again, when you hear the chief say that like his officers don't exhibit any type of bias, and that there's no need for accountability, I think examples like this show that no matter what kind of training and direction Chief Moore gives his officers, there needs to be a level of accountability because they clearly do whatever they want to do. I will also say it would be amazing if before you guys adjourn this meeting, if you also voted to have the chief report to you on those 2 incidences that Chair Layton and myself have brought up. They both happened in Depot Town within the last 2 weeks. You can probably really easily figure it out. I think, again, because there weren't charges associated with them, you didn't hear about them today, but those were both calls where Ypsi police was dispatched, and it would be great to get some more information on what happened with the people involved. And then I also emailed you guys a letter of support for the drug checking resolution that Chair Layton talked about. So if as a commission you decide you want to sign on to that, that would be, or if you individually decide you want to sign on to that, you'll have access to that language in your emails, and the letter of support or the letter of intent from the prosecutor's office that I presented to you guys in March was also emailed to all of you and Chief Moore, because he said he needed to do some more research to get the prosecutor's stance on that. But I know he was here in March when that letter was initially presented to. And then I also just wanted to say quickly, because it wasn't brought up, I did apply for YPAC, and I know I technically live in Ypsi Township, or my address is in Ypsi Township, but I live and work in the city of Ypsi. I'm a EMU alumni. I have a psychology background. I know how important like mental health and substance use support is for you guys. I have a addiction studies certificate. I'm a public health consultant for the Center for Behavioral Health and Justice with Wayne State, and also for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. And I sit on 2 state level advisory committees, one of them being harm reduction based and the other one treatment based. And they're both through executive appointment by the governor to come up with the state's opioid strategy. So I do feel like I'm qualified to sit on this commission. Thanks.
Thank
You.
you.
Get the whole audience to comment today. I just wanted to say two things. One, I know that EMU has support for statistical and survey packages, including online programs. They have people who are there to specifically consult and help with doing those. So I'm happy to act as liaison to that office to do that. Also, I wanted to make sure people know that EMU Police, there is an oversight board associated with the EMU Police, the EMU Public Safety Oversight Commission, of which I happen to be the chair. So you feel free to email me if there's any incidents that you need to talk about. My email is kkarpiak@emich.edu, or probably better, it has its own email address. It's emu_PSOC@emich.edu. But please do let me know.
Thank you. Announcements. Add something. You wanted it 2 Roman numerals earlier.
I guess I'm just giving an observation. This is really just an observation. I work on South Huron. I drive to work in any various ways. When I'm driving past South Washington, I'm noticing that people are starting to sleep in front of the law office. Once again, it's just an observation. And now to take that, and now they're sitting on corners. And the other observation that I have, there's now small children that are, and this is new for me, in my observations, that the small children are new in the past several days. So I guess, that's just an observation that I have, and I know, the housing situation and all of that, but it's there, and just an observation. You had your hand
Oh,
up?
I'll wait for all you guys to go and then I'll go.
I have not a thing.
Just a reminder, we do have Summerfest, nice community
Oh, yes.
event happening Saturday at Park Ridge Park, 11 to 6.
Mhm.
11 to 6. There's going to be a lot of resource people there. So coming out, have a great time. To piggyback off of what Commissioner Wolkoff was saying about her observations, I see the same thing because there's now furniture involved. They set up furniture and they sit there and eat there, and I don't understand how they even get in the store because they're lined up there. But another thing that I have noticed are the same folks that are there. They're now like infiltrating my neighborhood. So it's not that, oh, they're just there, they're not bothering anybody. Well, that scenario has changed. So I just wanted to put that out as an observation as well.
So I will put on the agenda for next month. I would like to understand more about these couple incidents that we heard from you guys about. So we'll get that on the agenda for next month so that we can hear from the chief a little bit about it. That's it.
Excuse me. I'd like to make everyone aware on the commission, in the audience, and online that on Monday, well, first and foremost, yes, this Saturday, Park Ridge Park, 11 to 6, Summerfest Joe Doolin Day, but as well on Monday, excuse me, at 6 p.m. right on South Washington in front of Growing Hope, there will be a meeting to discuss the things going on at Growing Hope, hosted by Fed Up Ministries and Growing Hope as well, like a collaboration between the two to speak on what's going on with the community and things.
Like Growing Hope over here, or
Right.
the like
Right here next to the beer cooler.
And what time is it?
6 p.m. 6 p.m.
Food involved?
I'm not sure if food is involved, but it's possible. It's
Set up
possible.
ministries.
Yeah, you know,
I'm gonna say it's set up ministries.
it's very possible. But yes, at 6 p.m. there will be a meeting right outside of Growing Hope. And I hope to see you all there. I'll be there. So
What's the date again?
this coming Monday, the 26th. Yeah. That's it.
Schools are started, so can I bring teenagers? You serious?
Yeah, RIP my ability to go to restaurants for the next few months. So all those college students are back.
Oh, this is minor much younger.
Anything else from the team? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I
Get
make a
focused.
motion
Alright.
that we adjourn our YPAC meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Allies, your bylaw.
Yeah.